Let's go and have some fun and talk to everyone. I promise it's a fun thing to do. Let's grab ourselves a glass and talk it up our ass. It's time for me to have a beer with you. Best.
Jacob.
Walt.
Oh, good Christ. You're loud.
Oh, am I? No one
Oh.
else has said anything like that.
Yeah, you're probably all right. We'll get you in post. What kind of mic you got, man?
Just a really nice one. I bought off the Amazon, and I don't know the brand. Let's
Blue Yeti? Is it a
I'm gonna go
ball?
to my orders, history, microphone. There we go.
Is it a little ball?
It is not a little ball.
Oh, okay.
Upgraded USB condenser microphone. I don't even know the brand.
You know, when it's a generic name like that, it's gonna be good.
It's a pretty nice. Actually, I know a lot of people use this microphone. It's just
You know-
really cheap and really high quality.
I just want to let you know that you're late.
Oh, I'm too sorry. I was in the
Yeah.
bathroom.
Not good enough, dude. I was trying to bring up like a nice article from Psychology Today on tardiness, self-worth, and being present. You're late again? This is from 2008. I didn't really get the chance to get down here, but
I didn't realize that we were on a time crunch.
oh, we definitely are. We got to go, man. Content's got to be spread. Got to make it and ship it.
Under the topics tab, that's the best one I could find. I sent you the link to.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let me see
what I
this thing.
have.
Oh, ooh, you got the pop filter. You got a nice boom mic or a boom, yeah, mount thing.
Is it recording right now?
Oh yeah, dude.
Well, you didn't say like, "Oh, welcome to the podcast."
No, no, no,
This
no.
is the guest, Jacob. He's
That's not how, no. Hold on. You're not gonna tell me how to run my show. It records the moment you get in here.
shoot. What if I said something racist? And you were like, "Whoa, dude, we're recording."
Well, luckily this isn't live. We would just snip that out, and you'd probably never be put on the show ever again. I actually did have that problem when I attempted to do Twitch streaming. I had a buddy that got like really, really mad, and he kind of went unfiltered and started saying some shit, and I was like, "Whoa, dude!" Like threw him out of the Discord, and everything, shut down the Twitch channel. I was like, "Dude, what?" I laid into him the day after. I was like, "Dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, just because you're pissed that you're losing a game doesn't mean you got to ruin everyone else's experience. Like, motherfucker, please."
I was playing League last night, and I tried to type something in the chat, and it said, we're zero tolerance. We won't accept." What I tried to type was, "Oh my god, your team is cancer," because like
Oh, no.
the team that they chose, the characters that they chose were like the worst, like most annoying characters.
Right, like
It
the
was
like
zero
meta
tolerance, and I'm like, really? I can't say that.
like meta characters, or like they're overpowered, or what?
It's just like a whole bunch of like mages.
Okay, I don't know what that means, but
They could attack you from a long distance.
oh, okay. And that's what makes them annoying. You want people to have
Yeah,
to
it
come
was
up
like
right to
5
you.
people that could poke you from a long distance. It was like, now we
That
can't even
sounds
get close.
that sounds like my kind of character. It's like any sort of shooting game or stuff like that. I wanted to use a sniper. Like I don't want you to get close to me. I'd rather pick you off from afar. So before we get any further, what are you
Mhm.
sipping on, dude? You got, I mean, this is Beers with Engineers. You got something? You sipping on anything?
Shoot, let me go get my, let me go grab something real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay. You know, Jacob has expressed to me that he loves beer. He's a quasi-alcoholic, and he can't stop sometimes with the beer. In fact, that's not true. But I'm sure he'll have something on tap. Something nice, hopefully.
Here we go. I got some Guanabana nectar.
What the hell? Please, does it have a description? What? Say that again?
Guanabana nectar. You can always just look up what a guanabana is. It's kind of like a weird green banana looking thing, I guess. I don't know. I say banana, but it's not really. It's just like probably originated from bananas.
My Achilles heel is spelling, so having to Google this is gonna be atrocious.
Here, I'll put it.
Uh,
Here you go, guanabana.
oh, no. Is it by a brand called Jumex? That sounds really bad. Oh my god, that brand name needs to change. Worldwide excellence in quality, Jumex Guanabana Nectar. Oh,
It's
no.
actually really tasty. Like I did just to give it a shot. I was like, what the heck? Whatever, I'll just try it out. And then I got it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is actually really good.
What what is the ingredients? I can't uh, is this
Let's
anything
see.
like your,
Water, sugar, guanabana puree, puree from concentrate, citric acid, natural flavor, whatever. Mostly sugared guanabana puree.
you just, like, purposefully go out and find odd crap?
Yeah, because it's like you never know, it might be good. Sometimes it is really gross. I've got it's like a 50-50 chance. Really, it's like sometimes you'll get stuff and it's like, oh, that was disgusting. You get something that's like that's actually pretty good. I'll get that again sometime.
I feel like saying it's a 50-50 chance is misleading because probably it's more like a 90-10 chance that you're gonna be disappointed.
I mean, if you pick one that looks good, I mean, like if you pick like everything, yeah, you're probably not going to get good stuff. But if you're like, oh, that looks tasty,
Hmm. I think I'll pass. I have some, Dos Equis with me right now in the nice cold glass bottle, like a man. I don't always drink beer, but when I do, it's Dos Equis. But that's mainly because that's what was in the fridge. I still need to go out and start buying, like, uh, different beers just to, get some different flavors going on. Like, I go to tap houses or pubs or whatever and, try their stuff, but I never actually, like, buy it and bring it home with me.
sure, sure, yeah.
So you're drinking some gross crap, I'm drinking something wonderful.
We're drinking alcohol, which is gross crap to me.
No, I come on, you drink a little, don't you?
I
Like,
drink it when other people are hanging out and they're
okay,
drinking.
so you're like me. It's drinking alcohol is mostly a social thing. It's not
Yeah, it's like a social obligation.
like I'm not the one that comes home like, "Oh man, long day of work, open the fridge, grab a beer,"
Mhm,
like,
mhm.
I just never got to that place.
I
Never had
can't
a
even really
hard life.
imagine
My
doing
life has
that.
been easy.
Yeah, it's like, why do you need to like just enjoy being home?
No, but that's not to say beer is good. Sometimes, I have woken up and just like, "Fuck it, I want a beer. I just want a beer." For like, no reason whatsoever, and I think it's okay. Go for it. But if you have a problem, we're here for you. We
Oh,
love
I had a
you.
weird dream last night.
Oh, yeah? Go
I was
for
at
it.
work and I kept seeing a guy
Oh.
that looked like you, and I kept
Oh,
thinking it
god.
was you, and then I, like, look at them, like, it looked closer and it wasn't you, and then I finally went to talk to him, he's like, "Oh, yeah, my name's Wareed," or something. I like, looked at, like, his nameplate, and it's like Wyered or something, and I'm like, "What kinda name?" Like, I couldn't pronounce like, I had to, like, look at him and be like, "How do you pronounce this?" And yeah, it's just like it was like a thing, it's just like a guy that looked like you, and I kept constantly confusing him with you, like, when I would see him.
That's an exciting dream.
But hey, it was about you, that means I care about you, right?
Does it? Does 'cause I could totally see you having a dream where, like,
I
like,
strangled
"Hey,
this dude, he looked just like you.
hey, let's go on a walk by this cliffside," and, like, poof. Ah! Mm. Alright, so I am kinda curious about you. I wanna know a little bit about your origin story. How the hell did you ever get into engineering? because everything you do outside of work is all like artistry and like, I mean, it's computer based, but you seem a lot more interested in creating things like in a more artistic sense than like
We
a,
could have gotten into the art business, but it's just one of those things that's never a reliable source. You know, it's
yeah,
like you have to work, like, really hard, like, you have to be, like, a really good artist or a really good modeler or whatever you're trying to do.
right,
Um, yeah, sometimes you'll be picked up by somebody like Disney or Pixar, and, that would be considered pretty stable, I guess. But
right,
I've also heard, like, even, like, I'm glad I didn't, like, even looking back, I'm glad I didn't, because 'cause I've even heard, like, the horror stories of companies treating those sort of, employees badly, expecting a lot out of them.
right. Now,
Um
is that like
mhm.
in the movie studio business, or is that like, because I have a buddy that I went to school with that went down to Florida, and I think he works for Disney, but he does more of like the merchandising stuff. So when you go into like their storefronts and stuff in the parks, some of the things you'll see, designs or drawings of different characters and stuff, that would be his work. And he seems like he loves it. Like, I haven't really talked to him extensively about it, but he seems like he loves what he does. So I'm
When people do
curious.
typically succeed, they generally really love their job, and that's really good. I'm
Well,
happy for them.
I'd have to ask him, like, if that's what he thought he would be doing, or if he wanted to go to more like the movie studio route. And I'm curious if in the movie studio route, that stuff is like really high pressure, really crazy. Whereas
Heard, especially
maybe
video games, yeah.
oh yeah, video
I've
games
heard
too.
horror stories.
Yeah, I mean, like, everyone's chomping at the bit for the next whatever sequel game, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, we gotta get this out," and it's like, "But we gotta test it, we gotta make sure it doesn't break." Meanwhile, it's like, "Hey, Christmas is coming up, we need a bunch of merchandise for Christmas with all of our characters and stuff," and I feel like that's a nice, like, creative outlet where it's like, as long as it
That'd be
kinda
cool.
ticks those boxes of, like, incorporates Disney characters, Christmas themed, you could just draw it out and, like, start submitting, and they're like, "Oh, that looks good, put it on a mug. That looks great, put it on a T-shirt." Like, it doesn't seem as high pressure. So,
It's
did
also
you
probably high competition because you'd have to be really good
Sure,
at that.
sure.
'Cause they can't, I mean, any Joe Schmo can design a character.
Well, I'm sure you gotta be quick about it, but it's like, it doesn't seem like it would be as scrutinized as a movie or a whatever. I mean, there could be the scrutiny of like, "Oh, man, we let your T-shirt design go out and nobody bought it."
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't know. It still just doesn't seem as high stakes as like the video game or movie industry. But like I said, I'd have to go ask him about it. So did
Yeah.
you just like kind of imagine what it's like kind of and then say, "Okay, well, I'll just do it as a hobby and then go do something else," and that's what brought you to engineering? Like, how did you switch over thinking to
So,
engineering?
my mindset from the beginning, even before, like, I mean, I've always been creative. I've never really, like, gotten into it until, like, the past 8 years or so. But my
Mhm.
whole life before that, I've been like, yeah, I'll just become an engineer, work same job my dad did.
Uh-huh.
I thought that was pretty, he was like, I enjoy my job. I think it'd be a good job for you too. So I just got into that. But that's really all it was. My dad did it, so I did it too.
Okay.
And I'm glad I did because it's a fairly simple job. It's really stable, extremely stable. You'd have to really mess up to get fired. So,
Yeah, and you should be proof of that. I mean, what? No, go go on.
but yeah, no, that's it. I'm glad I am where I am. I'm pretty happy here. I would not change anything if I were to go back.
See, I feel weird about I almost feel like an imposter engineer because of how I came to engineering. Because it was like, I kinda told Chris this story, but it was like, dad's asking me in, like, 10th grade, "Okay, what do you wanna be when you grow up?" And I'm like, "I have no idea." "What? What? What kinda question is that?"
That's in, like,
Eh,
1st grade, I wanted to be, like, a mailman, I think.
eh, well, I think he'd asked me, and I'm like, "Oh, firefighters are cool." You know, the
Yeah,
typical
yeah, yeah.
answers. Firefighters, astronauts, pilots, all those things. And, but
I
then
don't
it's
know why they
like,
encouraged astronauts. It's such an unrealistic one.
I don't know, because it's the wild frontier. It's like the modern day cowboy in a sense, like, or explorer, like that's the new frontier or whatever. But, but he asked that question, and I was like, "I don't know." And then it just became like well, you could go to college. Well, if I went to college, what would I study? I don't know. And then it was just like, well, you can go get a you go get a job at the shipyard and they'll help you pay for school while you figure it out. "Eh, Okay, let's go do that." And I became an electrician, did that for 3 years, went up into design, and then, as you know, just recently became a engineer. So I took the long route, the
Yeah.
untaken path.
The scenic route.
Yeah. Whereas, like, you and Chris, I mean, you guys, I guess, you went straight into college, right?
Yes, mhm, right, not even skipping a year or anything. I wanted to skip a year, and my dad's like, "No, don't do that." I'm like, "Yeah, you're probably right. That's probably not a good idea."
Well, education was always such a weird thing because, like, my mom and dad tried to hammer it home because they're like, if you don't do well in school, you'll be a ditch digger all your life. And it's like, oh no, that sounds terrible. I don't want to be a ditch digger all my life.
What was
But
that thing you see on there? It's like the teacher telling, like, the kid, the garbage man, "Don't become him, don't become the garbage man." It's like the
right.
garbage man who makes more than the teacher.
Yeah, for real. I don't, but like having done the labor side of stuff, like being down and getting dirty and doing all that manual labor stuff, it definitely makes me appreciate being up in a nice office every day where it's like, man, it's really cold outside today. Or dude, it's blazing
Yeah, no,
hot.
you're
It's
right.
raining. It's raining sideways. Whoo. Good thing I'm
It's like
not.
it's raining sideways for 10 seconds while we get from the parking garage to the building.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, that that 2 foot gap where the rain comes in a little bit, that's really terrible until I get to the door and then I'm all dry.
Oh, man, that is very nice. We were, like, the best we're one of the best spots, yeah, that's
Yeah.
I am thankful for that a lot.
But I think there should be more. We need to unionize, and then there needs to be a movie theater and a massage parlor and a gym attached to our building. Gosh,
Where's
they just
my,
don't treat us
wine
well.
tap wine or whatever that was, the
Yeah.
Twitter girl.
We need a coffee shop down there with a barista. Gosh, they treat us so poorly, and I just can't stand it.
Yeah, some people do have it really nice, but yeah, I'd say we're in the upper, like, you know,
I mean,
upper area.
it's to the point where like we're in a particular company, and I haven't said where I work. So, like, even our boss's boss before he retired was like, "Yeah, it's you're not going to get like super rich here, but it's very stable, it's very secure.
I don't
Like,
think money will ever be a
you're good."
problem for you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and just even on a bachelor, thinking of a bachelor perspective, like the median household income, I think in America is like 50 grand, and that's even assuming some houses where the husband and wife both work, but they only make like 50 grand, and so to be making more than that on a single salary, it's just like, well, shoot, and in the wider perspective in America, like I'm doing okay. I'm not in luxury, but we're doing all right.
I think it's interesting too because I remember it's like, man, things I don't know why people like are having a hard time paying for stuff. Even like if you don't make that much money, stuff isn't that expensive. And then like I got a house and stuff, and I'm like, man, stuff is really expensive.
Yeah, man, you were living at home, being able to bank up a bunch of money, and like, oh man, it's like I could go on a whim and buy a bunch of crap, but then you pile on obligations. Like, God forbid, you go buy yourself a new car, like I just did, and it's like, well, now that payment's got to come in. You
It's
know,
nice stuff. Like yours is a nice new car. Mine is a nice house.
right?
So I can like see living off of like really crappy stuff and looking around you and seeing the people with the nice stuff and being like, oh, that's no fair.
Well, like the house that I sold a couple years back, about a year and a half ago. I mean, I tried to tell people, I was like, I bought that thing. The sales price for the house when it was bought was 87,500.
Mhm.
And people were like, oh man, because I'd say like, oh, my mortgage is like 550 bucks. I'm like, oh my God, it's so cheap. How'd you get a house that cheap? And I'm like, well, if you knew what house I was living in, you wouldn't want to be there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, so I've done I mean, I wasn't poor. I don't think I've been poor throughout any part of my life. I've been lower income, but it's still decent enough with what I was buying and stuff. Again, not luxury, but like, especially when I was the electrician or early designer, it's like I was making a good, healthy income, but it wasn't anything to write home about.
I was like
And
comedian. He was like, we're not poor, we're broke.
yeah, but yeah, like once you pile on, sort of, like I'm to the point now where it's like I've done enough to where okay, we can start to loosen up our grip and not be so cheap on stuff. Like let's try and have some nicer stuff and and try and keep that and maintain it and stuff like that. But back then I was like, yep, whatever's the cheapest, that's what I'm going with because I can't afford jack.
But anyway, the point I was getting to earlier about when you look around you and see like people with nicer stuff, it's like, oh man, how come they get more stuff? And then it's like sort of like the same job or something. And it's
Yeah,
like, well, bro, have you ever been to another country though? Like
right,
they'll work their ass off and get like $2 an hour.
right. Yeah,
It's
like
like a
there's
really huge like difference, like all across the world between working conditions.
Yeah, I remember seeing a poll on Reddit where it's like, if you could just like Thanos snap, would you be willing to get rid of the top or the richest 1%? And
Really everything.
it didn't specify country, it didn't specify the world, but I think the world statistic is like the top 1% of the world is making like 30,000 bucks a year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what people don't realize that like you're like even if you have a really crappy job in America, it's like if you have a job in America, you're already like top 1% of the world.
Right. So like and it was a scary amount of people said, yeah, they would, because 'cause they're imagining that they're not in the 1% as far
Yeah.
as the world's concerned. They're thinking of Bezos and Musk and,
Yeah, no, no, no.
all those guys.
They're like
And
top 0.01%.
right, and so they're like, "Oh, yeah, I'd Thanos snap them in a second." Next thing you know, they start to dematerialize and vanish. They're like, "No, what have I done?"
I think it's weird that too that like people always make rich people be out like the bad guys. It's like, yeah, they do bad things, but I mean like I don't
Well,
know. It's
I think it always depends on, like, how did you get there? Like, I mean, we're
yeah.
finding out with that FTX guy, like, he was pretty
Yeah,
much a
yeah.
scammer.
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't know, he schmoozed the right people, said the right things, like, I mean, he got people to believe in him, but it sounds like he had, uh, if not fraudulent intentions, he had fraudulent tendencies,
For
like
sure, but, it's almost like a mindset where it's like people just hate rich people.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, "Oh, I hate
I just think
Bezos."
it's
It's like,
so
yeah, but you're
strange.
ordering crap from Amazon every week because of how convenient it is and because it's, a
Yeah, it's
decent
just like
price.
he just made a good business model. It's, it's
Yeah.
not
Well, it was that concept was so freaking foreign. I remember buying a pair of shoes from Zappos, I think in like 2010, where I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna pay money into the interwebs, and a pair of shoes is gonna show up at the door." And it was showing up in like a week or 2 weeks. And then by like 2012, Amazon's like, "Oh yeah, we're expanding. We're not just doing books and CDs and all that sort of stuff. We got home goods and all sorts of stuff on our website, and you can buy it and get it in 2 days." And I'm like, "There's no way."
yeah, it's like physically impossible, yeah.
And then you're like, "Man, but that iPhone phone case looks really good. It'd be really good to have one of those things for my new phone." And then you make a purchase and it's literally there in 2 days. It's like, "Whoa, what happened here? How's that possible?"
I remember, I think it's 3 or 4 years ago, my dad, like, I was like, "Oh yeah, the packages come in Sunday," and my dad's like, "Packages don't come on Sunday, they don't deliver on Sunday." And I made like a $50 bet with him, and then here it is, Sunday, and the package shows up, and he's like, "I can't believe it,
Right.
Sunday."
Yeah, I mean, it was like my parents were so mystified because I think I was still living at home at the time. Maybe it was around like 2011. I was still living at home, and I was like, "Yeah." They they come in with this box and they're like, "A package has showed up." for you. And it was like so mysterious. It was like,
The bomb.
yeah,
What is
I
this?
I bought a thing. How did you buy it? Would you go to the store and have them ship it to the house? No, I bought it on the internet. And that's what I think so funny about the Timmy Turner or whatever.
Bring up, yeah. Where'd you get
Yeah.
it? Internet.
Internet.
Because it's such a mysterious place. It's just like, well, I guess he's right. I don't know how the internet works.
Well, it's even funny to go back to like the early or like the mid 90s when, like daytime talk show people were like, yeah, have you heard about this internet thing? Like, what is it? I don't even know what it is. People keep talking about it. And now it's in everything. It's how most people live their freaking life.
Oh yeah, no, it's just become like, yeah, people rely on the internet now. Like, if the internet were to go away, people would like freak out.
Yeah, it's like, people used to freak out about the power going out, but it's like, okay, even if the power doesn't go out, if my Wi-Fi doesn't work for 5 minutes, I'm ready to tear someone's eyeballs out.
Oh yeah, what was he? A YouTuber he's talking about like, yeah, plumbing. He's like, yeah, I don't care if the plumbing goes out, but we're not losing that internet. Like, we made sure to pay that thing.
Yeah. It's like, wait, well, hold on, but if the power goes out, then oh no.
So I think it's crazy. I'm just gonna throw something out there.
Go
Nikola
for it.
Tesla, he was a freaking genius, and he really knew where the world was going. One of his quotes was, I thought this was really like on the point. When wireless is perfectly applied to the whole Earth, it will convert into a huge brain, which in fact it is, all things being part of real and rhythmic whole. We shall be able to communicate with one another instantly, irrespective of distance. Not only this, but through television and telephony, we shall hear each other perfectly, as though we were standing perfectly, or let's see, as though we were standing face to face, despite intervening distances of thousands of miles. And the instrument through which this shall be able to do this will be amazingly simple compared to the present telephone. A man will be able to carry one in his vest pocket. And it's like, bro, how did he know? I mean, it's not
Uh,
simple technology, but still, it's like, how did he know we'd be able to just like carry it around like that and communicate with people all over the world?
No, see, I go the opposite direction. I'm like, stupid. It's so stupid. No one wears vests anymore. Idiot. All
We
those
don't call it
words,
telephones.
all those words to say that people will still be wearing vests. What an idiot. Yeah, but yeah, it's like, how the hell was he on drugs? Did he do drugs? Did he
I doubt
experiment?
it, but
Oh,
you
come
never
on.
know.
Everyone was
People back
probably
then did a
doing
lot of things.
they were probably doing cocaine all the time.
Probably. They're drinking Coca-Cola.
Yeah. They just hold it up to their nose and, "Oh, yeah, gotta get a sniff, good whiff."
But,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
no,
and
it's crazy, like, the predict 'cause I think, like, out of all, like, quotes I've ever seen, I've looked at, like, a lot of quotes, like, people predicting the future. I think that's the most accurate thing I've ever seen, and it was by, like, this famous Nikola Tesla, you know? It wasn't just some random dude, like, quote out of nowhere. Like,
right.
this dude knew what he was talking about.
Yeah. It, well, he even imagined, like I can't remember if it was, like, power transmission through the air. He had some crazy imagination of, like, eventually trying to make the entirety of the Earth a giant Tesla coil or something. It was something along those lines where I'm like, now that hasn't come to be true, but it was a crazy idea. And like right now we imagine the internet still as like wires and cables going from place to place. Like a lot of it's fiber optic now, and there's satellites that kind of help move things around the world as well. And then you get someone like Musk that's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna put a giant series of, like a giant mesh of satellites up in the sky, and we'll just get internet from there."
I think
It's
aren't they
like,
already doing that?
yeah, dude,
Yeah.
it's kinda crazy. There's a couple of subreddits that I follow for, like, space stuff, and one guy's like, "Yeah, I tried to get a really cool picture of whatever, Neptune or something, but Elon's satellites got in the way. It's like,
Yeah,
oh
dude.
no.
I don't know what we're going to do in like 200 years. There's
Well,
going to be
there's
so much
already.
space junk and stuff.
Well, yeah, there already is.
I know, but
It's
we've
just
only just started though.
yeah.
Like,
Well, wasn't that a thing in like Futurama or something like that, where it's like they try and leave Earth and they go through a mesh of trash?
yeah, I've seen
You
them do
gotta
that a
break through
couple
the
times.
trash sphere or something like that. I don't know.
I mean, it's true. I hope they can figure it out where whatever they're doing, because there's already a lot of space junk and it's only going to get worse.
Well, that's the solution to global warming. We encase ourselves in trash in the sky and we cool the earth. Gosh, we solved it. That's why I'm an
You get
engineer.
like one of those giant space balls, the giant vacuum that a giant made.
Yeah, suck,
Vacuum up all the
suck.
space junk.
Oh man, that movie's so funny. Has little cans of air. He sit there and ah. I don't know, man. Sometimes the future scares me though. Like hearing about how like TikTok supposedly is being used to manipulate people in America and other European countries. Like China uses it to educate their citizenry, but then for everyone else that uses it, the algorithm is supposedly tilted to be like, yeah, just show them all the mindless dancing and crap, and they'll think that's cool.
It's crazy how stupid like the internet's getting. Like just in terms of like what is entertaining, it's all becoming like we're mastering like the human brain so much that we're not even like providing entertainment anymore. We're just like trying to release dopamine.
Right.
Like what was it like all these mobile apps or gotcha games where it's like literally like hacking your brain to figure out best way to make you stay in the game.
Yeah. And then take your money.
It's like
I
it's like a fine. Like I shouldn't make think. I don't think we should make it illegal or anything. But just like, come on, people, realize what it is.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like the internet is
Gambling.
such a double-edged sword where like it makes it so easy to get stupid by just mindlessly entertaining yourself all the time and never having to think through anything. But then it's also like the resources are out there. So I could say to someone like, "Did if you really want to learn something and maybe you're not sure if you want a career in that or whatever, like you can go to the internet, start looking at educational YouTube videos or start going down forums or whatever to try and read up on a certain subject matter. And maybe it's not going to be your thing, but you could at least start getting a bit of a ground level education on something and hopefully that'll lead you to more and more resources and you can learn that way even if you're not going to a formal institution. But more than likely you lead someone to the internet and it's going to be porn and TikTok dances and
So much of it is porn. So much of it. It's so ridiculous.
I even
Like
saw a head.
any famous Twitch streamer or Twitter
Oh
user or
yeah.
whatever, it's always like a girl posting pictures of herself.
Well, that's the one thing. Like I watch Twitch and it's like the fact that some of those chicks are still on there, it's like you're softcore pornography at this point.
Yeah.
Like, even if I think that, you can go and do that, or like, in the end, I don't really care, but I still kind of view Twitch as like it's video game content, but like it's still kind of tilted towards being friendly towards kids. I just go, man, the fact that any of this stuff is on there is kind of crazy.
Oh yeah, the kid stuff is big business. Oh my gosh, kids have nothing to do, so they just sit on the internet all day.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh my gosh, it
when my
drives me crazy.
nieces were a little bit younger, I don't know if they still do it. I think they've moved on to like video game content, like the Twitch content. But it used to be like the toy review stuff where it's like, oh my gosh, look at this kid. He's playing with the new toy or whatever. And it's like the kid and his parents that seem like they're hopped up on some sort of medicines to be like, so energetic all the time. And they're screaming. So they'd walk into like my mom's house with this tablet and you just hear a bunch of screaming from their tablet. I'm like, what are you? Can you turn that down for the love of God? Like, but it's just a
Oh,
toy review.
oh,
It's toy reviews all day long.
my we rented our beach house out, and one family came in, and I forgot I was logged in on YouTube on the TV there, and I was like, "Why is a bunch of kids stuff showing up in history?" And I like figured it out. I was like, "Oh no, it's gonna ruin my algorithm."
It's like, oh, Jacob loves toys apparently again.
Yeah,
So,
it was so it just like kept my history was just full of it because I guess I just kept it on playing, like autoplay.
oh man,
Oh, it was the worst.
those darn kids and
Yeah, I ended up just like calling them and being like, "Yeah, can you just like log out for me?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure."
yeah. I mean, only I think my parents are only going to rent out their beach cottage for like another year or two and finally move down there and retire.
Yeah, my parents, that's what my parents are doing. Yeah, like as soon as they retire, they're moving. Actually, my dad's gonna move down there before that, and just he made like an agreement with the boss, like, I'm just gonna work from home for like a year and only or something. And he's just like, yeah, sure, because they really want to keep him for like some reason, like it's something about like some shifting with the new ships or something. But
Well, anyway, like our specific company does a really terrible job of like knowledge transfer. That's probably why they want to
yeah,
keep
that's
him.
the whole reason they want him to stay. So he's like, okay, I'll stay for another year, but I'm gonna be at the beach house the whole time. And they're like, fine, whatever.
Whereas I should just be like, yeah, I'm moving down to the beach to, and I'll work from home. They're like, no, we kind of need you around. Like, come on, guys, it'll only be another 30 years. Like, come on, chill.
You need me.
You need me that much, right? Because that's ultimately, I don't like. Do you ever think about your retirement and what you want to do? I know we're
I
still
know. I know when I
young.
retire, I'm still going to stay really active in like modeling and art and stuff. I'm
Yeah, but I mean,
sure.
like where you want to be. Like, you said
That's
you.
one of those things I just don't care about because I don't go outside. As long as I'm like, I'm not an outside person. I don't even care about like looking out my window and seeing a nice view. Like I just purely
Okay.
inside. So if I can find a nice place that's just like nice inside, that's all I need. I don't care where it is. It could be in freaking Antarctica for all I care.
All right, we'll put a bunker in Antarctica for you. Start shipping you off, shipping people like you off to there, so we can have more space here for us normal
Yeah.
people who like the outdoors.
Dude, there's so much space in America. I'm just gonna like move out to like Nevada or something. Just like there's so much space like out in the middle of America and whatnot.
Yeah, but what if it doesn't have high speed internet?
I'll use the satellite one. Elon
True.
Musk.
Oh yeah, the what's it called again? Skynet. I mean, what?
What? Who?
Who? What? What is it called?
I don't know. Here, I can look it up. Elon satellite
You got
internet
some crunch keyboard there, man.
Starlink. Bro, that is the coolest name.
Starlink.
Dude, that's like some sci-fi video game stuff.
I wonder if they got any. You can get a little satellite dish for your RV or some. Put it on your boat. Put it in your plane.
In your bathroom.
The Internet of Things. Oh, that was the other thing. Like, what do you think about that whole concept, the Internet of Things, where like your fridge and your microwave and all other crap? Like, I know I can only really
So
think of.
unnecessary, I think. I can see, like, your thermostat maybe, but, like, other than that, like, why would you need, like, to connect your blender to the Wi-Fi? Like, what are you gonna do that it requires internet?
I don't know, man. I remember just hearing that at a conference where they were talking about the Internet of Things as the future. And I was just like, I don't really know if I want, like you said, the blender or the microwave or the toaster or my trash cans. Like, hey, I'm full. Hey, I'm full, and I'm getting notifications on my phone. Like, yeah, yeah, I know I need to take out the trash, but I don't want my phone telling me.
I can see that being like, that one kinda makes sense, but even then, it's like, if when you use your trash can, you open and throw something away, you can see that it's full.
Yeah, but then my laziness kicks in, and I go, I'll try and crunch it down a few more times."
Yeah, that's
But,
true. Yeah.
I'm trying to be I'm being conscious about the environment. I'm trying to use the bags to their maximum
Uh-huh, that's
extent.
what it is, yeah.
Yeah, see, I could just care too much. Like, even the new vehicle I got, it's like, "Hey, your car has a notification," and my phone will ding because 'cause they're now connected.
I mean,
It's
you can
like,
turn that off, you just have to go to your
I mean, I know, but that's the whole concept of, like, eventually, like, I still have paper manuals and stuff in the glove compartment, but I could totally see that, like, you buy a new car in the future, and it's like there's no paper anything. There's, like, a QR code in the
oh,
glove
yeah,
box,
I can
and
see that happening,
you
uh-huh.
scan that. Like, right now, there's not even an auxiliary jack to listen to music, to plug a phone in. Like, you have to Bluetooth to my car to play music from your phone.
My biggest problem with that is I feel like the technology, like, if in, like, 20 years you're still using the car and they don't update the car, it's gonna be, like, not connecting to the new phones in 20 years, you know?
Yeah.
Like, my dad's car has that ability, and he has a really old car, so my phone can't connect to his car very well because it's, like, old technology. It's, like, still Bluetooth, but it's, like, really where it's, like, I just go use the aux cable, 'cause you just plug that in and it works.
'Cause aren't the iPhones eventually well, they got rid of the aux cable, didn't they? Yeah, like, my phone doesn't have it.
You can go lightning to aux.
Oh, but that's an extra thing I gotta go buy.
Yeah, it is, but a lot of, like,
Uh,
dollar stores sell it or whatever, like a 7-Eleven or something.
okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't
there was a, I was gonna say, oh crap, go ahead. I'll think about it.
yes, me. A wealth of other subjects to talk about in the interim.
Oh, it sounded like you were about to say something.
I think I was, but I don't know.
Um, I remember hearing that it was becoming, like, a law in Europe that's gonna be passed in, like, a couple years or something,
Oh,
that
yeah.
all devices have to use USB-C.
Right, which sounds really stupid.
I mean, I can see why they would do it, I just think it's unnecessary, but whatever, and I
Well,
think it's funny because they were like Apple was like, "Well, we will comply." They didn't say they were gonna make USB-Cs, they said, "We will comply." And what I
yeah, they'll
think that means is that they're gonna make their phone completely wireless, no plugs.
sure. Like, yeah, why wouldn't you? Because I don't know if Apple makes their plug that way to say, like, we found a better way, and this is how we've designed it. And if you're going to
Anything.
be an Apple person, you're going to use the better way.
Anything
Oh,
that uses the lightning cable sends a little bit of their money to Apple because it's a copyright device or something, whatever, it's like the plug. If you use the plug, you have to send a portion of your profits to Apple, is what it is.
okay. That's it. Like, there's no technical improvement.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
And
Well,
they wanna keep
but
that
either
money for
way,
them.
let's say, okay, the only option is USB C. What if someone comes up with USB-D or whatever, X, Y, Z, and,
Yeah.
it's like a million times better. It can transmit more data, it can power up your phone faster or whatever the technical crap is, and Europe just sat there and wrote a document that says, "No, it's gotta be USB-C." Like, does there make room for improvement over technology, or they're just like, "Oh, this is the finest cable we will ever invent, and therefore this is what we must use."
It's a generational thing. It's like the USB-A. It's
Yeah.
like the typical USB. It's like we used that for several years, and then the USB-C came out and we switched to that, and then in, like, another 20 years, we'll probably switch to something else, but that's not for 20 years, so by the time this goes through and all the products switch to it, by the time the next USB-D comes out, we'll be like those that stuff will be getting old, and we can just make new stuff using the old new USB, I think.
But okay, imagine the EU or somewhere writing a law that's like, "No, no, 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 we have to use USB-A. We gotta make it universal because that's the norm, and we don't want people
Maybe they'll
having to go
like they
buy
always
other."
do.
Wait,
Like,
what?
they'll see the new technology and be like, "Okay, we're gonna change the law now."
I think you have too much faith in politicians.
I mean, they changed the law to make it so you have to use USB-C. I think they'll just do the same thing again.
Hold on, is this revising a current law or is this making a new law?
Well, it's
'Cause
revising a document on specifications of what's required by devices.
I think we're all just I don't know enough about it to call you on anything, so I'll just let it be. But
I don't
I
think they'd make such a crazy decision like that and then, like, leave it permanent or something, you know? Like, it's if it's as long as it's, like big businesses will make a big deal out of it if it ends up hurting the company, you know?
I mean, hasn't Apple said things like, "Yo, what are you doing? Like, we have our thing. Why are you forcing?" I mean, they're essentially forcing Apple to use a technology that they've, in their mind, have moved past or they don't want to use or whatever. They're,
I think the reason why they did that, though, is that money thing I mentioned earlier. They don't want that sort of stuff being monopolized or whatever. I don't know. I don't know their exact reasoning. I assume there's a good reason behind it, though, otherwise people would put up resistance. Or, like, why would they do it to begin with?
I don't know. Like, do politicians have the ability to update their document? Sure. But I don't, to me, it's like, why write a rule about that? If it was that much of an issue, I feel like people would leave Apple for it and say, "Well, I'll just go to an Android phone because that Apple's being really stupid about their cables and stuff."
Uh, it's just one I kinda like I guess, like, an analogy would be, like, if YouTube made really bad decisions, people could just leave YouTube, but that would also affect everybody on YouTube, therefore, no one's gonna really do that unless they, like, really, really, really screw up. So they're not gonna leave Apple over just a cable, you know?
I mean, sure, well, okay, in that case, it's to me that tilts it into the not a big deal category, and then it's like, well, why even bother writing a law?
Still a deal, it's just not big enough a deal that it would, like, make you stop using an iPhone.
I mean, it's a big enough deal for you said the European Union, like the whole of Europe, to write a rule that says, in our collection of countries,
No,
we
I
will
mean,
just not
they probably
accept
weren't
this.
targeting Apple. They're probably I don't know, I'd have to look into the reason, but I doubt it was because they were targeting Apple.
It just seems silly.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, I mean, I think it's none of their business what any device uses. I don't think it's their business to control that. I think that
Well,
is kinda ridiculous,
won't
but
stop them for trying. Oh man.
I'm not saying what they're doing is right, I'm just saying that I think it'll all work out. Typically, I feel like things just kinda work out, like, you know, like the whole Earth is gonna explode from this. Things just kinda work themselves out, you know?
I mean, sure. But like, okay, so I had a gripe a few years ago about writing regulation for industries that force something onto a product. For instance, I don't I'd have to go back and see, but I remember at the time they were saying that past a certain year, rear view cameras were going to be the norm. Maybe it didn't pass. Maybe you can still buy new cars without rear view cameras. I don't know. But let's just go down the hypothetical in case it never went into law. But the idea was all new cars need to have this rear view camera. Well, I go, well, that just adds to the value of the car. That makes all new cars expensive because you got to have that display screen, you got to have the sensors, you got to have the camera in the back,
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff. And then you go, well, why are we doing that? Why even bother trying to write this law? Oh, well, there's been an uptick in incidents where babies have been and kids have been run over by their parents because they weren't paying attention and they didn't realize the kid was behind the car. And I was like, well,
Okay.
okay, well, how often does that happen? Well, the amount of times it's happened has gone up. Okay, well, how many times does that happen? Oh, like twice a year. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
hold on. So wait, hold on. So you mean to tell me we're changing the entirety of how we're offering new cars because of 2 incidences a year? Like, and I'm BSing the numbers and stuff, but just
Yeah,
that
I
sort
get what
of
you're saying, though, yeah, it's like laws being made for, like, 2 people, yeah, it's like,
yeah,
wait a minute.
and it's like, well, hold on now. Like, don't get me wrong. Like that's a travesty for any family that happens to run over their kid. undoubtedly. But you mean to tell me that, like, hey, man, no, a point of sale where it's like, hey, you want the new car, right? And it's like, yeah, but I'd rather save a couple $1,000 by not getting the rear view camera versus you're trying to force me up to a sale that has the camera. Now you've blown that out of the water, and it's like, well, this is the only thing we have now. You can't get one without the rear view camera.
Well, I
Like,
also
well,
think that's just a good business strategy anyway, is to just like include stuff in the new things and don't have options. That way you're forced to buy the more expensive one. That's just like a business strategy
well,
itself.
the business strategy should be to try and get people the most features that are desirable. Like even without mandating it into law, a rear view camera is a desirable thing. Like, yeah, it's a new feature to kind of get used to, but most people are like, yeah, that would really help me back up. Like, that's really cool.
I do like it, yeah. I
Yeah,
think it's
so you
pretty
don't
useful.
to me, it's like it's already a desirable thing. There are some people that'll be like, "Well, if it saves me a couple of grand, I just won't get it." Um, so I don't know. It just seems like such a weird thing to force, and the business perspective is to try and add as many of those features that don't affect the cost so abhorrently that it drops people out of the sale.
So I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm a person that believes in small government. I think the government should be providing police, providing government or protection from other countries, such as like military
Sure.
and basic stuff like schools and whatnot. But they should not be controlling these sort of things. I think government should be like staying out of the business of like, yeah, they can try to prevent monopolies, but they should just basically just need to leave us alone, I think, personally. And stuff
Well,
like this is why. It's because they make stupid, like ridiculous decisions like this. And it's like,
well,
bro, just leave the business alone and let them do their thing.
Well, it's they write a law that says, "Hey, we're going to create such and such regulating agency, and they're going to have purview over X, Y, and Z." And then everyone passes the law because it's like, "Oh, don't you want the make everyone happy agency?" Oh, yeah, who doesn't want the everyone happy agency? And so they sign that into law, and then the make it happy agency, comes up with stupid rules that start tinkering
Yeah,
with stuff, and
exactly.
it's like, well, hold on now, like
Yeah,
I I know
that's my
your
point.
mandate is to make
Uh,
everyone happy, but it seems like you're
yeah, like
you're
once they get their
getting
foot in the door, it's they start
yeah,
thinking.
you're getting into weird finer details that just don't seem appropriate for you.
It's going a little bit political, but I think everybody will kind of agree. Like when they say like legalize gay marriage, it was like that marriage shouldn't be a thing you should have to legalize. Everybody should be able to marry whoever they want. The government should stay out of it. You
Love
know?
is love.
Yeah, but it's like, why do you have to legalize that? Just it shouldn't like why does legal have anything to do with marriage? You should be able to marry without legal intervention.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, like, even from a more religious perspective, like, if you talk to, like, Orthodox Jews or just very staunch Christians, the contract with the state that says, "Hi, I'm Walt, and I'm married to, whoever my future wife is, Susan or Sharon." I like the name Sharon. Walt's married to Sharon, and that provides a bunch of legal stuff. It's like that doesn't really matter to a very religious person. What actually matters is their ceremony before their congregation, before the broader general public that says, "I'm being molded to this person in a holy matrimony before the community and before God." That is a contract in a sense, but it's not like a we're sitting down and writing out the details sort of contract. So
Yeah,
it's
I'm just saying like the whole like legalization part though. Yeah,
right, right,
just
right.
like
But
government needs
I'm
to stay out of that.
sure. But I'm just saying from the religious perspective, it's the
Yeah.
same sort of deal. It's like I don't really give a crap about
Gotcha,
um
gotcha, yeah, uh-huh.
your United States contract or you recognize it. It's like I am married. I mean, hell,
Yes,
even
mhm.
I think even and I'm not a historian by any measures, but I think even slaves were getting married, and it's like they didn't get any recognition, but they still had a religious ceremony in a sense that kept them, barring all the travesties that they were experiencing, they still had a unrecognized in a legal sense, but it was a recognized marriage in their community. Again, not a historian, but pretty sure I heard that
Yeah,
somewhere. I
yeah,
was
I
like,
get
that's
you.
that's pretty interesting. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's sort of still goes to the point of like the government shouldn't really give a crap who's marrying who. Like,
Yeah, it's like,
why
why
do
are
you
they
care?
in your business about that? Just
Oh,
marry
but
who you want, leave the government at like, the government should have no part in what, why do they get to say who you can marry? That's stupid.
I mean, I found out I was trying to look for like land to buy, and it's like, oh, hey, here's a plot of land. Oh wow, it's actually pretty cheap. Why is it so cheap? And then you like come to find out it's deemed unbuildable. But then it kind of gets to the point where it's like, well, hold on. If I want to build on a swamp, no, I should be able to build on a swamp.
Yeah, it's not even I mean, I guess if it's like a property, like you're gonna like make into a store. You don't want people dying in your store, like, when it
No,
collapses.
but if it's going to be my personal shack that only I
Yeah, yeah.
reside in and park my car on, and
Yeah, it's like, wait.
if it sinks into the swamp, why do you care?
Yes, I agree. That's another one of those things. Yeah, it's like, "Butt out, dude."
I don't know, man. Little things like that will come up in the news where I'm like, why are they doing crap like that?
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say earlier, speaking of the news, I was talking about how, like, things work themselves out. I feel like the
Oh yeah,
reason why they work out is because you never hear what people are doing to accomplish this. Like, you'll hear, like, all the bad news, and then next month's news story will move on, and they will never talk about, like, the amazing effort put into solving the issue.
right.
They always just I hate that about the news. It's like bad news sells. Like, what about all the good news? What about what was that? There's like a company that goes to third world countries and spends billions of dollars every year to fund people in poor countries or, third world countries getting medicine and getting water and all the things that they need, and no one has heard of this company because the news doesn't report on that sort of stuff.
Because if it bleeds, it leads, dude.
And that just, like, kinda annoys me. It's like, where's all the good news reportings? Where's all, like, the, "Oh, wow, this company is doing this really amazing thing to help the world." Instead, they'd rather, talk about how Twitter's being ruined by Elon or something. It's like, "Bro, it's Twitter, who cares?"
I'm not even on Twitter. Are you on Twitter?
I'm on Twitter, and people are like,
Is
that's another thing. It's like, people are like, "Oh, it's gonna get awful, it's gonna get ruined." It's like, "Bro, literally nothing will change."
Yeah, it was a shit show to begin with. What are we talking
Yeah.
about?
He's bringing the gates of hell. It's like, bro, the gates of hell were already open when Twitter was created.
It's like it was a shit show, and now it's a different shit show, but it's still
So
a
same,
shit
same with like the
show.
president. People are always like, "Oh, the president's going to ruin the country." It's like, yeah, he'll make changes, but really, it's not going to affect you that much. I don't think.
Yeah. I mean, we're a pretty resilient country as well. It's like it would take a pretty good hammering to really take us down.
Yeah.
Like no, don't get me wrong, there are possible things that
Yes.
could take a country down.
I
But
agree.
like,
Mhm.
there's you'd have to do quite a bit.
Yeah.
And we're so divided politically that like no one's really getting their way anyway. We're just kind of in the middle of people. It's like a tug of war where the flag doesn't really move that much. Everyone's pissed off. Everyone wants things to go their way, but like, okay, well, until one side gets more power, like substantially more power than the other, then the flag's going to stay relatively in the middle.
Yeah. That's another thing with the flag. I think people completely throw it off. They're like, "Oh yeah, the America's awful. Burn the flag or whatever." And it's like, how about like the flag represents freedom, opportunity, and like unity. So when hypothetically when you burn the flag, that means you're burning freedom, opportunity, and unity. Instead, instead of saying America's awful and we need to burn the flag, instead say these people, like for example, if you think police brutalities are a huge problem, you say these policemen are not holding up what the flag represents. You know?
Yeah.
And that brings more unity because everybody can agree with each other and say, yes, the flag represents unity, and these people are not upholding unity and freedom and equality,
Yeah. Well, that
which is
was
how a
ki
lot of movements in the past have succeeded.
yeah, that was I was about to say that's kinda like the MLK thing of like, "Hey, I'm a black citizen of this country, but you don't give me the same rights and privileges as white citizens of this country. You've
Right.
presented this ideal society in your founding documents. You've presented this ideal in, like you said, the representation of your flag, what's it supposed to symbolize, and you're clearly not living up to this ideal.
You're
So
like,
I
"Oh,
would
you're not
like to."
keeping your promise." Yeah.
Right. I want to take up this flag to say, here's the flag that you really need to uphold. It's the same flag, but it's just saying that you're falling short of your actual ideal, live up to the ideal, versus
Exactly,
if
exactly.
MLK was sitting there stomping and burning the flag, it's like, I mean, a lot of people hated MLK when he was coming through, but like at the very least, the way he was, like you said, taking up the flag was a lot more palatable than if he would have tried the other way.
Mhm, mhm. Yes, exactly. So, I feel like if a lot of, like, movements nowadays just switch to that mindset, you'd get a lot more people on your side.
Well, it's I mean, even like what was it? JFK had the whole like ask not what the country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. It's it's a reversal of like, because you can stand there with your hand out and go, the country needs to do something for me. And don't get me wrong, there's lots of gripes and complaints that you can make, and some of them being valid. There's critiques that you can make of the country. But ultimately, it's like, well, what does better in the overall picture? If everyone just stood there with their hand out, well, that's not really doing much. But if everyone said, okay, yeah, our country's messed up in certain ways, but we can all kind of pitch in a more positive light in some little way, it can push the country in a better direction.
It's almost, misunderstood too, as in, like, go pay more taxes or go work for the military. I think it's that's not I don't think it's the point it's making. I think it's just saying, like, help your fellow Americans is really all it's saying. Like, if you know someone that you can help or is doing really poorly, just go help them out. Go contribute to your community. That's what it
Right.
means. It doesn't mean, like, help the government. It's just like,
Right.
no,
Right.
help your
Help your
fellow
neighbors.
Americans.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's
You
what you can do
think
for your country's citizens.
you think we'll ever have robot politicians? AI politicians?
Hmm. That's a good point. I
Mr.
never really thought
AI
about
man.
that. Probably not in the sense you're thinking of. But yeah, I wonder if, like, there'll be, like, a whole, like, online voting system for certain policies or something in the future.
Well, but if we're in iRobot and we're like, "Man, these robots are really cool. They're actually, like, kinda sentient and stuff. Do we give them voting rights?"
Oh, yeah, that's, like, a whole thing too, yeah.
And then do they start electing their robot people into positions of power, and then we have robot overlords? And then Skynet takes over? It's
Did you
scary.
watch, Love, Death, and Robots?
I watched so that I think I watched the 1st season.
Remember the yogurt? It's like the yogurt
Vaguely,
overlord.
yeah, yeah. There's
That's
some
what
of
that
them, but
reminded me
that
of.
was one of the stupider ones in my opinion. I really
Oh, it
like
was so dumb, yeah. But
I
I
really
thought it was a funny idea.
I really like the 3 robots taking, like,
Oh,
the
yeah, that's
tour
the
of
iconic one, yeah. That I think they made a in the 2nd season, they made another episode about that.
the little orange robot. I don't know, do they even have names or anything?
I don't think so, or
But
it yeah, forgettable names.
he was just like he just throws the basketball or drops the basketball on the ground. He's like, "How cool is that?" Like, "Oh my god, this guy's funny."
Yeah, it's but yeah, I just wanna point that did remind me of the yogurt thing. I was like, yeah, humans will stop running the government and will be run by, like, other probably AI or something, but I don't know, man. Maybe it'll become like, well, I play VR chat. Maybe it'll become like that where you just create communities with whoever you agree with and just hang out with those people.
It's like we become a global Earth, a global country, but then everyone goes to the virtual reality and has like conflict wars and stuff over their
Exactly.
virtual.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like everybody will move online and just create communities there. I'm in the government. I'm in the country of this website.
Well, some of the like that Amazon game that came out, New World, that's how they kind of wanted it to run. Is that there was areas of the map where you could whole factions could fight to take it over, and then there was like a governing body within that territory once it was taken over. Like you could run around the town and there'd be a dude with the name governor next to his username. And it's like, oh no, he's the governor of this territory. There was taxes. If you bought property there, there'd be taxes associated with that. It's like, what are we doing here? I just want to go around killing stuff and casting spells and whatnot. But you gotta pay taxes. Taxes every time you crafted something. It's like, oh, you crafted a hammer, did you? Or a sword or whatever, bow and arrow. Tax.
Yeah, we'll be taking the tip of that arrow.
Yeah. It's like, wait, hold on. But then,
like, damn, I play video games to escape taxes.
but then, well, I mean, it would be like, oh, we need to raise so much funds for the war effort. Like literally, I only played it for a few weeks, but there was one thing where it's like, why are the taxes so high? What's going on? And it's because they were gearing up for war. They just figured they'd dial up the taxes real quick, get an influx of cash, and then dial it back down and go to war. It's like, good gravy, man. What is this? It's so strange. And it makes me want to just go get a cabin in the woods and get away from society and technology and everything.
Let's see.
I don't.
It's like, is it a cabin in the woods or is it a house in the forest or something?
Either way, I want to get
Condo in the
away.
forest.
Maybe that's the one thing being an engineer will help me afford is a getaway somewhere.
Like I said, I just lock myself in my room.
Yeah, you just need a concrete tomb to stay in. As long as it's got sufficient lighting and a nice sofa, you're pretty much good.
Oh, maybe that's what the Egyptians did. It's like they're like, oh yes, I'm gonna bury myself for like whatever religious reasons, and he's like actually down there like playing his Game Boy or something.
It's like, finally, no one will bother me.
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, this has been fun, man. We got to do it again sometime.
We're done. What do you mean we're done?
We're never done. We're never done. There will be more. I promise you.
Yeah. All right.
All right. I love you, buddy. Be safe.
Yes, you too. I'll see you at work
Oh yeah, great.
on
Work.
Monday morning. The best time of the week.
Oh yeah. All right, man. Good deal.
Yeah. See ya.